Hello, my name is Eric Putkonen. Thank you for joining me. Today I'm talking about patience. I had Googled it for a definition, and patience I saw was defined as the capacity to accept or tolerate delay, trouble, or suffering without getting angry or upset. And I think a lot of people would think this is a pretty good definition, but I've come to understand it's a poor definition. I mean, first of all, to accept or tolerate suffering is kind of missing the point. Suffering arises because of our own ignorance. It's our own misunderstanding and misconception, which are the roots of suffering. And it's very possible for suffering to cease. And so if you find yourself suffering, why try to endure it through being patient in some way, as if there's nothing you can do about it? In that way, patience would almost be a spiritual bypassing. If I can just be patient enough and accept and tolerate suffering, that's the point. But that isn't the point. Really, we should be delving into the suffering, embracing it, understanding it, seeing it deeply. And through doing this, it is possible for suffering to cease to arise. I mean, most of the time, the only reason suffering arose in the first place is because something was not accepted. And so why accept the suffering? Just go back to the earlier non-acceptance and accept what you were resisting, and then you'll see suffering. Instead of resisting something, having suffering arise because of that resistance, and then trying to tolerate and endure and accept that suffering instead of accepting what was happening earlier. It just doesn't make sense. And then earlier, trouble. Trouble is a lot like problems. Trouble and problems are a mental disposition. We are mentally judging what's going on and making it a trouble or problem. And so we have these problems, these troubles, and so we're supposed to accept or tolerate this. Again, this is like a bypassing. You're not looking at the cause. The cause is because of your resistance, your denial to what is. It is mentally judging the situation and creating a problem out of it or a trouble out of it. I mean, think about it if you're playing a game. If you're playing a game, there are challenges. All games have challenges. That's what makes games fun. But we never have to accept or tolerate or endure a challenge. We actually eagerly embrace the challenge in a game because that's what makes it fun. It's challenging. And so it is possible, instead of sticking to your guns and seeing whatever's happening in the world or with yourself or others as trouble or a problem, it's possible to instead see it as a challenge, something to be embraced, and something to be worked with collaboratively and cooperatively. Because what do we do with problems and troubles? We fight them. We're in conflict with our troubles and problems. We're trying to beat them back or solve them. A challenge, on the other hand, you can work cooperatively and collaboratively with what's going on. And so it's a different view. And so I don't agree with the idea of accepting, tolerating, and enduring suffering and troubles or problems. Both of these are bypassing the actual causes, which, if we delved into it, understood it, really saw what's going on, would be dispelled. Because it is possible to live without suffering, to live without troubles and problems. I had an earlier video where I talked about living without problems, which you can refer to. Now the other one is delay. And I also did a video about giving up hurry. A lot of patience is around this idea of giving up hurry or urgency. We're always working with this in terms of in the world. I mean, work and everything else. It's hurry, 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 get stuff done, faster, faster, faster. And so there's always this continual pressure to get more done, a lot of times, than what is even possible. And instead of just being with and accepting and going with, this is as much as I can do, instead we've always got this mental pressure to do more, faster, quicker. And we're always trying to, push the present into the future through effort, mental effort, as if it would not come on its own, doing everything we can as fast as we can. No, we need to add this extra mental pressure of hurry and urgency, and that will somehow make it go faster. It's kind of funny. It's a lot like when somebody goes, hey, look here, and we're squinting, and we're tensing all these muscles around our eyes as if this will help us see better. But in no way does these muscular contractions around the eyes help us see better. Likewise, all this pressure and urgency and hurry that we put on ourselves does not really get things done faster. We can only do as much as we can do as fast as we can do it. And instead of just being with that, we're always adding more pressure. Hurry, hurry, hurry. And there's urgency. And so if we give up haste and urgency and hurry, delays are not that big of a deal. Delays happen. All delays happen. You could, a red light could happen. You could be working on a project at work and somebody, a manager might not be getting back to you to get a key piece so you can move on or whatever. Delays happen. That's part of the world. Our delays happen. And we can only do what we can do to work with this. Embracing the challenge. But there's no reason to add this extra hurry, hurry, hurry on us. I mean, really, when we're talking about patience in terms of haste and being okay with delay, really all you're doing is just ceasing to add this pressure, this mental pressure. You're ceasing to try to push. You're ceasing to try to go faster than it is possible. Because it's really going to come down to you can only do what you can do. Now, this doesn't mean when you're giving up hurry or urgency, that does not mean you automatically have to move slowly and you can never run or anything like that. Because if you can run to catch a bus instead of walking, do it. But there's this extra mental pressure. Hurry is a lot like attachment. Attachment is the delusion that we can hold on. And it's totally a mental thing. We're mentally attached to things. And when reality naturally changes, as it does, because everything's permanent and things are ripped away, so to speak, we feel this loss. And, depending if we identified with it or not, it causes, it could cause a lot of suffering. But we could never hold on in the first place. Hurry is a lot like this. Hurry is the delusion that we could go faster, push it, make it happen, and this extra mental pressure will actually do something. Just like if we strained the muscles around our eyes, we could somehow see better. It's a mental fiction. It doesn't work that way. And so it is possible to give up hurry. And this is different than accepting or tolerating delay. Because in another video, I talked about beyond tolerance. Tolerance is not what we want to do ever, really. And you can see the video if you want to go into that. But it's not a matter of tolerance, and it's not a matter of accepting the delay. Well, it is kind of more, it's more in line with accepting the delay. Accepting that delays happen. Delays always happen. But still, when you're saying there's a delay, when you label it as a delay, you are still subtly saying on some level, this should be going faster than it is. It's a delay. It's not that at all. It's not a delay. It's what is. What's happening is a red light. What is happening is a manager not getting back to you, so the next step of the project can't be completed. It's not a delay. And if it's not something under your control, like a stoplight, then all you could do is, just still abide here. Don't add this mental pressure like this should be other than it is. And if it's a manager not getting back to you, well, you can follow up with them. You can give them a call. You can say, hey, I need this piece so I can continue on in the project. And you could try to nudge them a little bit. Not out of a sense of urgency or hurry. I know in the work world, they always like, saying we should have a sense of urgency. I mean, I've heard managers say, because I'm a recruiter, they're like, well, I didn't get a sense of urgency from this person. And I don't think that's a good thing, because this unwillingness to accept delays, the constant hurry, haste, urgency, well, this is one of the primary roots of workplace stress and burnout. It's one of the primary causes of burnout, is this constant pushing, pressure, faster, faster, faster. And the more you can do, the more you're given. Because that's the nature of employers. Employers want to get as much out of you as they can. And so, revisit this in terms of patience is not a tolerance. It's definitely not a tolerance of delay, troubles, or suffering. In fact, you can see through suffering, you can see through troubles and problems. And so all that's left is delay, which is, it's just a matter of giving up hurry. It's giving up this idea that things have to move faster. You can do what you can do to make the ball roll down the hill quicker. You could give it a shove, but there's only so much you can do to make it roll faster. And beyond that, it's only going to roll as fast as it's going to roll. And so you don't need to keep having this constant pressure of hurry, hurry, hurry. It's urgent. I had read recently, they said, in terms of urgency, they said, unless you can't breathe or unless you're bleeding profusely, nothing is urgent. And think about that. We like categorizing way too many things, particularly in the West, as urgent. It must be hurried. Is vitally important to get this done as quickly as possible. It's counterproductive, particularly when it comes to awakening and enlightenment. Because as I've said in the past, awakening and enlightenment is a lot like trying to fall asleep. And if you have this feeling of, it is vitally urgent that I fall asleep because I've got a meeting tomorrow morning, early in the morning, when you go into the room to sleep, like with that frame of mind, with that kind of viewpoint, it's very difficult to fall asleep. The very fact that it's urgent that you fall asleep and you're trying to fall asleep somehow keeps you awake. And in this way, urgency, hurry, never will work in terms of enlightenment or awakening. You got to give up the idea that it's urgent and you got to get there quickly. And so that's kind of what I want to talk about today, was patience. And our idea of patience, I think, is a little outdated, because it kind of goes under the assumption that troubles and suffering are inevitable, and there's delays, which is also a negative viewpoint of whatever's happening. And with that definition, you're bypassing the true roots of what's going on. And the true roots are, there is no such thing as a delay. There's only the challenges as they are in the present. which you can work with cooperatively and collaboratively. There's no such thing as troubles or problems. That's a mental judgment. And suffering is our own creation through misconception and belief and ignorance. And so if you actually get to the roots of these things, they go away. The idea of delay goes away. The idea of troubles goes away. The idea of suffering goes away. And then, with that, the idea of hurry and urgency go away. And in that space, what is left? Well, when you're no longer resisting and denying what is, and you're in this space, it could be called patience, but it's not something that a me does. There's not a me trying to be patient with what's going on. There's just this automatic, natural patience that arises. Because nothing is that serious. Nothing is so urgent. And so, take it easy. But if you have any questions, comments, please post below. And until next time, thank you much.